get some demonstration of this movement. I think that's really the first step in creating your own robot. Do you want to do it? You know, I always do it at these panels. Do you want to do it? Change. I just want to give you the opportunity.
I'm really bad at it, so the makeup and the costume help me out.
Okay, people want to see it. I want to see you do it. Okay, robot. Just stretch. So let's start with something simple. Let's start with the head, because I think that's a pretty simple one. I think anyone can kind of do that. Yeah, okay. Just don't throw your neck while I do this. You don't need to put as much energy into the stop. It's just it's just a little bit, because if you put too much in there, you're gonna hurt your neck, and I've done that a few times. So what's great is that you can also follow it with a dead-eye expression, which will sell it better. Instead of trying to trace your eyes back, you know, move them along with it, just kind of stare into the void like you're looking past, like your eyes are dead. And that really sells the illusion if you just want to do like a nice head thing, because then your eyes will just move with your head, and it looks really creepy. Yes. You'll notice I'm also getting my blinks, you know, they're a little on average. And I mean, that's very subtle, but, you know, those blinks are planted. Like, sure, every once in a while I'll have an actual blink, but, you know, when I close my eyes, or maybe one which closes in the other, it doesn't, because your eyes are a little broken, you know, there's little subtleties that you can add with the face. I mean, for us, you know, acting through the makeup is really important. When you're just normal, you know, kind of look like a normal person, the subtleties are captured better. Every little twinge in the face. But when you're covered in makeup, especially if you got some prosthetics, which we don't, but if we did, you have to try even harder. And especially because we're like this small on stage, you really have to like just make every expression really, really, really animated. And I think that really adds to the cartoon nature of the act. Is that we have very expressive faces. Catch Ruth, a really creepy photo that you can go by.
Yeah.
It's just, he looks like a cartoon character. And it's crazy. From people's nightmares. Yeah. Especially with the spine. I think the spine's makeup is the most effective. He only has one look, and it's done. It's the done look. The thing is, yours is really like is a pantomime face paint, because it's so simple. Yeah. You could replace the silver with white, and you'd be a mime. Pretty much. And what miming is all about is like the black around the eyes and the eyebrows and the lips is just to enhance the facial expressions. Yeah, because when you move your eyebrows and the contrast is so high on something like when you're doing white face, or even with the spine, it's pretty much the same thing. Like the eyebrows are standing out a lot more than, say, something that has more texture around it and whatnot. So yeah, you know, Hatchworth I think is probably the most complicated makeup. But you seem to be following the muscular structure, so when it moves, it looks pretty decent. But it's a very challenging makeup.
Well, you can tell when my mouth is open, you know, because I have the mustache just hides it, and then it's like, whoa, where'd that mouth come from? And, I usually do cross-eyed a lot, just to distract from whatever. So people will try to meet the eyes, you know. It's kind of like a play on dead eyes. It's like clearly they're not working right.
So I guess something we should touch on is, you know, there's so many different ways to change the movement up. I mean, all three of us do it differently, and it's basically what we're comfortable with. I know I've fallen into habits with the spine. It's almost like he has to constantly rebalance himself with his legs and stuff, and I think a lot of that has to do with being stuck behind an instrument. I can't really use my upper body as much, so I try to do... You want to demonstrate that? Oh boy, okay. So let's see. I don't know what the rabbit is, but when the spine's like, he's just constantly, like, legs are, I don't know, what is it, like he has to pee all the time or something?
I think it's the wedgie dance.
I don't know, it's more, I always do the, like, swaying, like, there's momentum and now it has to stop, and all the parts have to kind of wait for it to... It's like it's great because it plays into the stiffness of the character. Like you're really playing up like the specific joints, right? Yeah, I don't really try to do solid, like he doesn't have much weight to him. Maybe it's a little more sleek or something. So maybe he weighs a little less than the fat robots.
It's a pH fat.
Oh, yes, fat.
I play a rabbit like she's really heavy, like because her parts would be, you know, she's in the Victorian era. It's like nothing but iron, so there's like a weight when she walks. Yeah, that's what I mean, like more. So yours is a little more sleeker, and whereas mine's more clunky kind of. You know, when that movement happens, it's almost like it's not going to move the legs because they're so heavy. Yeah, I don't know. So mine's a little more basic. You know, I focus a lot more on ticks, just planting little things that don't actually exist, like stuttering. I don't really stutter to the point where, you know, it's funny. So I have to insert stutters into the speech of rabbit, or little ticks, or sometimes I just start twitching out, and then I just play it off like the robot didn't even know what was happening. It's just a little bug. So rabbits definitely more kind of a, I don't know, that's kind of a gimmick, is twitching out. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different. I mean, we've obviously haven't explored so many different ideas with what a robot character could do and what their little idiosyncrasies could be. But I think with just the three of us, we do vastly different stuff. And the same thing was true with John and when Upgrade was in the group and stuff. Like, we all kind of did stuff that made sense to us, and I don't know, maybe it came a little more natural, or it's all based on what we were doing in the group, I think. Since we've never actually made a robot just to go and do a Steam Power Draft concert and stuff, it's a little unexplored territory for like fans who want to make a robot, because a lot of your time is probably going to be spent, you know, practicing the movements and stuff, or maybe walking around conventions and whatnot. And we don't actually do that much, because we would tire ourselves out and then we couldn't play the show or something. But we have done it before, like roaming entertainment, and that's pretty interesting. Walking is definitely the hardest part. Selling that is exhausting. When we used to do the Del Mar Fair, we would roam, and I don't even know, like, because now I try to throw away walking as much as possible, because you can't. It's really hard to sell. I've seen some people, you know, like on YouTube, who are really good at it, but it looks exhausting. Yeah, I think walking is a tough one. I mean, I remember John. He shuffled a lot and stuff. Which
Yeah,
almost like it's almost like, you know, like there's wheels or something on it. Like seeing toys and stuff do that. And it's less about doing something that's complicated and hard to pull off, and more do something that just doesn't look like how people walk, you know. And so I think the spine. Maybe we should. Yeah, like. So it's more like, you know, just more exaggerated movements where it's not really hard to do or anything. It just kind of looks different, you know, than, you know, just walking, which I don't really know how to do anyways. So, just a little bouncy kind of thing. I always think about that. Mine is pretty similar to yours, because I have the same body type, but I just kind of... Why should you just kind of not give a shit and because you're gonna listen? So I just kind of say, yeah, cool. Well, that's walking. How do you walk? You see those fancy toe shoes you got on?
I don't really have anything. I don't know what I do. I guess I just try to, well, when I'm standing, I try to be bow-legged, because that's not what anyone else does, really, the Mary Poppins thing, and I just kind of bounce up and down. And I have, my back is okay, so I can do this more. I do the basic robot, I don't know.
Yeah, there's so many.
It's easier when you're in the costume and the makeup.
It's definitely being just like doing a character for like maybe a play or something. A lot of people will tell you that once they have the costume on, that's when it clicks for them, which is easy. It's definitely helps get you in the mood, because when you have a costume on, you don't feel relaxed. You feel like, I'm in a costume. This is kind of constricting some places, and I don't normally wear this when I'm lounging around the house. But you know, if you can do it in your normal clothes, then you can totally do it when you're in a costume that's enhancing everything.
I almost kind of have to, I don't know, I'm used to, as a performer, when I did my own stuff, I loved being fluid and just like, you know, I can't do an impression because it gets caught up in the moment, but it was very hard for me to transition, and it still is, to do the robot to the pop and lock thing, because your body is just, it's always moving, you know, unless you're sleeping or dead.
Unless you're
I'm performing, which is something that I like to do and I like to enjoy, but now it's like I have to find the joy. I have to find it, you know. Still trying to find it. You know, the robot and the basses and the singing. And it's
Yeah, I mean the difference is